Hey, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to go over something not a lot of people go over. Actually, to be honest, I've never even seen a guide over this. So if you're like me, you play mouse and keyboard on console, right? Stuck. Stuck on mouse and keyboard. You can't really do much because it's nothing like PC, right? There's, sensitivity, got the delay. It's not like PC at all. So today I'm just going to cover just simple little keybinds, sensitivity for both actually controller and mouse and keyboard. It's just want to help you guys out because I don't see any tutorials. So let's start it off. So one of the most common mouse pads you'll get is a SteelSeries. It's like a little small SteelSeries mouse pad. That's really good. We're gonna go over actually sensitivities for different size mouse pads. So let's say you're stuck on a little small mouse pad that your mouse can only move like just a little bit. Then what you want to do is first, alright, just start this off. I have Corsair M65 Pro mouse, so it has DPI from 800 standard to 1000 to I believe 3000 and then up. So anyway, the ones we're going to be focusing on is 800 or 400 DPI to 1000 DPI. Those are going to be the most important ones. So for a small mouse pad, you go 1000 DPI. So for Corsair ones, it's going to be a white, or just for most standard mice, it's actually going to be the second DPI option. So my sense, I do 1.33. This is just what I put it to, and that gives you a relatively fast sensitivity. It's really good for, let's say, 90s or just building in general. But if you're not really comfortable with it, it's a very like fast mouse. So what ends up happening is your building is really spot on, right? You're really good at building. The only issue with it is your aiming. Your aiming might be a little off, so I'll throw some aiming trainers in the description. Kind of wish they were mine. Wish I was that good, but I'm not. But yeah, so I'll throw some aim trainers down in the description that might help you guys, because console doesn't have Kovacs, sadly. Great implement. So that's for more of a fast-paced mouse pad, small. But if you have a long or big wide mouse pad like Mongrel or whatever, what you want to do is you want to get good with a tilted keyboard. And I suggest like going a little bit at a time, not just completely like a vertical like Tfue does it. So I just start inching it, but what you want to do is you want to put your keyboard kind of to the end of your desk a little bit, so you're stretching out your arm just a little bit. So then you switch it down to the lowest DPI option that you have recommended, and then you can adjust your sensitivity to whatever you're comfortable with. So if I'm doing lowest DPI, I'll do like 0.9 cents with another 0.9, I guess it's fine. So that gives me a lot slower motion, because you probably can't see, but you can't. But I'm moving my mouse a lot right now. It's barely moving. So if you get good at this, your building won't be the best once you start. I actually switch from a low DPI to a higher DPI. So if you don't like that, then it's alright. You can just bump it up by like 20 to 30, and then you'll be really comfortable with it. But what this low DPI does, not only can you build, but you can shoot better. So high DPI to low DPI is risking building over shooting, or shooting over building. So low DPI, you're gonna have really good accuracy with okay building. But high sense, you're gonna have a really good building aspect with a pretty average shot. So it's kind of like the small downfalls to it, but I mean, it's not the worst. I stick with the high sense because that's what I like. But not everybody has to like it. That's alright. But it's just like a video try to help you. So for these senses, what I recommend for the high sense anyway, low sense, I'd keep it about the same sense for X and Y. But for the Y and X for high sense, I recommend putting your Y sense just a little bit lower. I'd do like 0.3 lower. I think that's a lot easier for me, especially with shots too, because you don't want to over flick or anything. but it also keeps you from placing like a floor above you, like this. Wait, sorry. If you have a high sense for both X and Y, you're gonna overshoot. You're gonna overshoot the floor placement, so you're gonna end up placing above you like this. But if you have a low Y sense or lower Y sense, then it's a lot easier to maintain, because really the the star of the show is the X. That's kind of the main part. So now for controller. All right, I'm gonna be focused more on keyboard in this, but this is just a small controller guide. This is what I use. I play both mouse, keyboard, and controller. What I recommend is for controller sense, there's no DPI or anything. I do 0.6, close to 0.65, and then for my X, and then for my Y I do 5.6. So that really helps for aiming and shooting and flick shots and stuff, because you don't need it too high, because too high you'll get out of control, especially if you're not used to it. Building sense I do 1.6, 1.62 is really good for me, because if I'm in scrims and stuff, I mean it's not crazy hard to box up. So it's also pretty easy to do 90s too. If you just hold down your analog stick, you don't have to really worry about letting go for high sense or not having it too much. This is just about perfect. This is what I see a lot of pro controller players use roughly around here, but this is what I like to use. Edit mode, sorry. Yeah, your edit mode sense, I put it a little bit higher than my building sense, because I just find that helps me. You can bump it up all the way if you want, but I feel like you won't be as accurate or precise with it. What I see a lot of people do is they bump up their they bump up the edit mode aim assist, or they turn on aim assist edit mode, which probably you did too. I did. We turned it off in early seasons because you couldn't edit, because your edit sense was way too slow. But now if you bump it up all the way and then you turn it on, I'm not gonna do it just for the sake, because I don't want to get used to it. So that's my controller sense. Oh, and I'll go over binds too. So binds, I do something a little interesting. So I use L3 to jump, and the reason I do this is because you watch people that use X to jump. If you don't play claw is pretty hard to get used to if you've never really played it before, especially on a PS4 controller, because kind of buttons are lower. You can do it on Xbox pretty well too, but if you see people use X to jump, like when they're doing 90s, they have to stop, jump, and then place it. But with L3, you're able to look and jump at the same time. But with X, you'd have to play claw to jump. So that's the reason I use that. Now, I use X to switch mode instead of circle, just because I find it a lot easier to reach. My circle is actually my map. So I press circle for map because I don't really use circle for anything. But one of the key parts of these binds is edit as your touchpad. So the reason I have edit as touchpad is because all I have to do is lift my left thumb up on my analog stick, and I'm able to touch the touchpad and I can look and edit at the same time. You don't have to worry about that. So that's what I recommend for controller binds. A lot of people don't like it, but I find it really easy to use, and I really recommend it. Especially if you're not that, especially, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not that great at the game, try these binds before you get used to or really comfortable with yours, because you're going to want to quit if you get really comfortable with yours. So I believe that is all for my controller binds. Nothing else is really switched. Triangle still pickaxe, this is still reload, this is still repair and crouch. So that's my controller binds. Alright, finally guys, I'm going to talk about my keyboard, my keyboard binds. These are a little different than some. I actually don't use 1 through 5 for my weapon slots. I use ER4, mouse wheel, and Z. I'll show you guys. Alright, so keybinds. Let's start with ones that I actually changed. Reload. I use that as my middle mouse button. So what I do to reload is I click down, because I believe that reload is not really as important of a bind as a close button should be. So G, I use that as my use because F or E is a really important bind to me because it's really close. So G is pretty easy stretch for me. I don't use harvesting tool. I'll tell you why later. Weapon slot 1, I use E, so whenever that's my shotgun slot. This is my SMG slot. This is my AR. Z is one of my heals, and then 5 is one of my heals because I don't really pick up snipers or anything. So I keep crouch as left control. My wall is my front mouse button, and people wonder why I do this because a lot of people use their back mouse button for wall. But if you look at the way that you hold your mouse, right, your thumb is more likely to be towards the front of your mouse. So whenever you get shot at, your first instinct is to build a wall, and your front mouse button is the one closest to your thumb. So all you have to do is lift it or pull it back just a little bit. When you on your back mouse button, you have to reach back farther, and it just takes, just that little extra time can make a real big difference. So I have an extra shot or headshot or something. So that's what I use. I use X for my floor, and a lot of people ask why I do this instead of C or E. I'll try to get a keyboard cam up one of these days from one of my YouTube videos or Twitch streams, which I'll leave my Twitch down in the description too. It's actually just the same as my username. But the reason I do that is because it's just a pattern. It's just a pattern. So I keep, like, whenever I do 90s or something, or whenever I'm in a build fight, I really just keep my finger on X. It's also right below D. If you bring your finger straight down from D, it hits X. So it's a really convenient spot. Whether C, I guess you can do, but it is just a little bit of a stretch for me. You can use C as one of your weapon slots too. It's really up to you. And shift. Shift is I use for pyramid. I see people use Q for pyramid, which I'm not really a fan of because really pyramids you only use sometimes in the situations that you need it, for like boxing or stuff like that, or I don't know, just some other things. I feel like shift is really easily accessible, and you don't need pyramids all the time in fights. But I see pro streamers use Q. I guess you can use Q, but I mean I don't. This is just something that should help you if you're struggling with binds or anything. Toggle pickaxe. I use Q for my toggle pickaxe because it's just, I don't know, it's right there. I use my pickaxe a lot. I don't know why. It's just a natural instinct. So when I build stairs, I'll switch to my pickaxe a lot. It's just something that I do. It's just natural habits. So for my repair, I use H, or V works too, really. If I don't use V because I don't play with a super slanted keyboard. Rotate, I take rotate off a bind, so you might wonder why I do this. Rotate is off of a bind because I don't want to accidentally hit it during a fight, and I really never use rotate anyway, so I don't worry about it. Crouch while editing, still left control, select building edit, just normal. Reset, alright, I recommend, I don't care what keybinds you use this. You put your reset building edit to mouse wheel down, and then you come down to your edit, and where it says F or whatever you use, next to it, it should say not bound. Switch not bound to mouse wheel down. What this allows you to do is you have an edit. You don't have to edit and reset and then confirm. If you have something edited with mouse wheel down, you can just drag down on your mouse wheel and it resets. So let's say if someone was right here, right, they're gonna see the edit come through and they're gonna try to shoot. But because you have this, you can reset it right away. So they shoot the wall, and then you get a free shot off them. It's a really good idea. I don't know. If you don't use it, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So I really recommend using it, because there's no reason you shouldn't, really. Toggle map is still M, and everything is what it starts at. So if you don't want to use my keybinds, that's really fine, this is just what I like. But I do recommend, if you're going to switch up your keybinds, have your keybinds within, like, y'all you're building, have it within like 2 to 3 key radius from your finger. So like W, A, S, and D. So you could use tab, caps lock, shift, control, Windows key if you really want to. V is alright. I don't recommend really the bottom row other than X and C. If you use a normal, like, horizontal keyboard, that's just the way I am. T, I really wouldn't stretch farther than T, G, and B. So anywhere from Q to T A to, or caps, alright, anywhere from tab to T, caps lock to G, shift to V, and just, and then I would really only use those. You can use 1 through 5 if you want, but I recommend getting good through 1 through 5 if you ever plan on changing. Because I've tried changing, but I really can't, because 1 through 5 is just really unnatural to me. That's why I use ENR. I think Cypher PK uses ENR as well. So yeah, that'll wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. You know, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more. And don't forget to comment what you want more tips, more sense guides for different ranges. Comment your mousepad size down below. I can give you some pointers on what to do, how to set up your desk. And that should be all, guys. Peace.